Hey, I see you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. The one who's wondered 100 times why you can't just walk away from that relationship everyone tells you is bad for you. The one who's promised yourself this is the last time, only to find yourself back in the same situation weeks later. You're not crazy, and you're definitely not alone. What's happening in your brain is actually a form of addiction, one that's reinforced by childhood patterns and brain chemistry most people don't understand. Today, I'm going to explain exactly why walking away feels impossible and give you the tools to finally break free from this cycle that's keeping you stuck. Hey there, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Nidhi Kapoor. Before we go any further, I've got a small request. If you like my content and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. Now, let's get straight on with today's video. Have you ever caught yourself saying, I'm done with this relationship for the 5th time this month? You promise yourself you'll never go back, delete their number, maybe even block them on social media. Then, a week later, you're right back where you started. What's going on? Here's the truth that might surprise you. Your conscious mind isn't actually running the show here. That voice in your head that makes logical decisions and promises to change only controls about 5% of your behavior. So what's happening with the other 95%? That's your subconscious mind. And it's following a script you didn't even know you wrote. You see, your childhood experiences programmed your subconscious with certain expectations about relationships. Think of it like installing software on your computer. If you grew up with parents who were unpredictable, maybe they were loving one day and absent or angry the next. Now your brain recorded that pattern as this is what love looks like. Your conscious mind might want a healthy relationship, but your subconscious is silently seeking what feels familiar. What you think is love might actually be recognition. That feeling of clicking with someone or feeling at home with them could actually be your brain saying, yes, this dynamic feels familiar. When someone treats you the way you were treated as a child, there's a weird comfort in it, even when it hurts. You see, your attachment style forms early in childhood and becomes your relationship blueprint for the rest of your life. If your caregivers were inconsistent, you might have developed what psychologists call an anxious attachment style. This means you unconsciously seek partners who are hot and cold because that pattern feels right to you. You might even feel uncomfortable or bored with someone who's consistently kind and available because it doesn't match your internal template. Research shows children who grew up with unpredictable parents often develop a high tolerance for inconsistent love. They learn to work harder for affection and confuse drama with passion. When someone treats them well all the time, it actually feels wrong, like waiting for the other shoe to drop. You see, your brain creates actual neural pathways that associate certain relationship dynamics with what's normal. These pathways get stronger each time you experience the same pattern. It's like walking the same path through a field of grass. Eventually, you create a clear trail that's easier to follow than creating a new one. And here's what makes this especially tricky. Your subconscious mind doesn't judge these patterns as good or bad. It simply seeks what's familiar, because familiar equals safety for your primitive mind. Even if that safe feeling means walking on eggshells around those who explode at random. This explains why you might feel strangely disconnected from that nice person who treats you well and respects your boundaries. Your brain literally doesn't recognize this treatment as love because it doesn't match your programming. So why do you keep going back to someone who hurts you? Because your subconscious mind is programmed to seek the familiar pattern you experienced in childhood, even when they're painful. Your brain is just trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how, which is by sticking with what it recognizes. The good news, however, is that once you understand this pattern, you can start to change it. The brain that learned these patterns can unlearn them too. But it takes more than just conscious willpower. You need to reprogram your subconscious expectations. But There's another powerful force at work too, your brain's chemistry. You see, every time you experience the cycle of fighting and making up, your brain releases powerful chemicals that create a genuine addiction. Let's look at how these patterns actually create a powerful chemical addiction in your brain that makes walking away feel nearly impossible. Think about that moment when they finally text you back after ignoring you for days. Remember the rush of relief that floods your body? That feeling of finally they still care about me. That is not just an emotional response. It's actually your brain on drugs. But here's the thing, your body is making these drugs all by itself. You know how people talk about the highs and lows of toxic relationships? That's not just a metaphor. Your brain is literally getting high from these intense emotional swings. The worse the fighting gets, the more powerful the makeup feels. It's a roller coaster that your brain chemistry starts to crave. Let me explain actually what's happening. You see, toxic relationships create a powerful biochemical addiction through something scientists call an irregular reward system. When reward comes predictably, your brain gets used to them. But when reward comes randomly, like affection from an inconsistent partner, for example, your brain gets hooked much more strongly. And here's what happens. When your partner suddenly withdraws their affection and then returns, your brain releases a flood of dopamine. That's the same chemical that's released when someone, say, uses cocaine or heroin. Your body literally can't tell the difference between toxic love and drugs. So each time they pull away and come back, that dopamine hit gets stronger. This explains why consistently kind relationship might feel boring in comparison. They don't create the same extreme highs because your brain isn't experiencing the lows that makes those highs feel so intense. Hope that makes sense. What's really happening is something psychologists call trauma bonding, which is basically a biochemical attachment formed through repeated cycles of abuse mixed with moments of relief. So each time they hurt you and then apologize or show affection, your attachment to them grows stronger, not weaker. This pattern looks a lot like gambling addiction. Think about it. Slot machines don't pay out every time. They pay out randomly. And that unpredictability is what keeps people pulling the lever hour after hour. In your relationship, you're constantly wondering, will they be loving today or cruel? That uncertainty keeps you checking your phone, trying harder to please them, and staying in the relationship much longer than you should. And it gets even more complicated. During those moments of intimacy or reconciliation after a fight, your brain releases oxytocin and vasopressin, the bonding hormones. These chemicals create powerful feelings of attachment, even to someone who treats you poorly most of the time. Even in the midst of toxicity, these moments of connection flood your system with hormones that make you feel bonded to your partner. Your brain actually becomes dependent on these chemical highs. This explains why trying to leave feels like going through withdrawal. The anxiety, obsessive thoughts, physical symptoms like not being able to eat or sleep, these are real withdrawal symptoms, just like someone coming off a substance addiction. That's why you keep believing they'll change despite all evidence to the contrary. Your brain has developed what scientists call an optimism bias that overloads your rational thinking. You are literally addicted to the chemical highs of reconciliation after conflict. So your brain convinces you that this time it will be different because it's desperately seeking the next fix. You see, understanding this chemical addiction is critical because it means that what you're experiencing isn't a lack of willpower. It's not that you're weak or stupid for staying. Your brain chemistry has been hijacked by a pattern that's literally designed to keep you hooked. But the good news is that, like any addiction, recovery is absolutely possible. But first, we need to understand one more powerful force that's keeping you trapped: the comfort of familiar pain and the fear of the unknown. Let's explore how fear keeps you stuck in a cycle you consciously want to escape. When was the last time you stayed in a situation that hurt you? because the unknown seemed scarier. Maybe you thought, at least I know what to expect with this pain. That's your brain choosing the devil it knows over the devil it doesn't. We're naturally wired to avoid uncertainty, even when the certain thing is hurting us. Think about this for a second. The fear of being alone or starting over often feels heavier than the pain you're experiencing daily in your relationship. Your brain is literally designed to avoid uncertainty at almost any cost, even if that cost is your happiness and well-being. It's not your fault. It's how we are wired for survival. Your brain's constantly calculating risks, and the unknown represents the ultimate risk. What makes this even harder is that over time, this toxic relationship has likely become your identity. You might wonder, who would I even be without this struggle? This creates a kind of existential fear. If you've spent months or years trying to make this relationship work, navigating the ups and downs and adapting to the chaos, it's become a part of who you are, unfortunately. As one psychologist puts it, it's not just about leaving the relationship. It's about letting go of the life you've built, which can be a lot to handle. Research confirms this isn't just you being weak. Humans will often choose a certain negative outcome over an uncertain possibility of something better. Your brain craves certainty and predictability, even when what's predictable is pain. That's why, even though you know the relationship is hurting you, thought of walking away into the unknown feels terrifying. Now, there's something else happening too. Your partner has likely isolated you from your support system over time. This isolation isn't always obvious. It might have happened gradually as you stopped sharing problem with friends who just don't understand, or you've pulled away from family members who expressed concern. Now the world outside your relationship seems more threatening and lonely, making you even more dependent on the very person who's hurting you. You see, despite all the pain, this relationship gives you something powerful: purpose. There's a strange comfort in the familiar routines of fixing your partner's problems, managing the constant crisis, or walking on eggshells to avoid conflict. This cycle fills your days and becomes your mission. Letting go means finding new purpose, new routines, and new ways to define yourself. Your self-esteem has probably taken a serious hit too. When someone constantly criticizes you, dismisses your feelings, or makes you feel like you're never enough, you start to believe it. As Dr. Lillian Glass explains, toxic individuals often exploit and reinforce insecurities to maintain control. Over time, you might have internalized the belief that this painful relationship is all you deserve or can get. This makes stepping out into the unknown even more frightening. If you don't believe you deserve better, why risk what little you have? Manipulative tactics are often at play too. Domestic violence expert Lundy Bancroft points out that abusers use manipulation to get what they want. This might include threats, gaslighting, or promises to change that keep you hopeful that things will improve. These tactics create certain sense of helplessness that makes leaving them impossible. So, how does fear of being alone keep you trapped? Well, your brain perceives the unknown as more dangerous than familiar pain, and your identity has become so entangled with the relationship that separation feels like losing yourself. The world outside seems threatening after being isolated from support, and the relationship gives you purpose despite its toxicity. Add to that the damaged self-esteem and manipulative tactics, and you have powerful forces keeping you stuck. But here's the thing, understanding these forces is the first step to breaking free. Now that we know what's really happening, we can look at how to overcome these barriers and finally walk away towards something better. So now that you understand what's happening in your brain, you can start to break free. Healing from toxic love addiction takes time, but it's absolutely possible. After all, you weren't born with these patterns, you learn them, which means you can unlearn them too. Start by getting curious about your attachment style. Notice when your brain craves the familiar, even when it hurts. Remember that the withdrawal symptoms are real, but temporary. The awareness you've gained today is your first step. Your subconscious patterns can be rewired. Your brain chemistry can reset. Your fears can be faced and overcome. You deserve a love that feels like peace, not pain. Well, that's it for this video. I hope it helped you. If it did, please put that in the comments below. I love reading your comments. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care.